What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the KFC Heavy Metal Sencho Barbossa, otherwise known as the Brave Captain Shark. Yeah, so this guy is a shark-based transformer. Actually, he's kind of more of a submarine that looks like a shark. Let's keep him in focus here. As you can see, we got these little, like, cannons on the top here, and we most definitely have, like, a bridge type thing going on. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a very mechanical shark. We do have the opening mouth here. And you can see that they did give us a nice display stand here to use for everything. Now, the sword itself doesn't go anywhere, so they made these little spots to put it. It kind of would have been nice if there was a second accessory to go on this side, just so, you know, it was both filled in, looked a little more uniform. But, I mean, as it is, you get a good stand, and it does a good job of holding them. I mean, looks pretty good. For quick comparisons here, because there's really not much not much more to say about the shark mode. Here is the RID Skybite here, and you can see overall, probably pretty close to the same dimensions going on here. Not really too much of a difference. So let's go ahead and try to get this guy transformed. First thing we're going to do is pull him off the little stand, and you can see it just kind of pegs into the square hole down there. The next thing that we're going to do is try to separate the arms out here. It's a little bit difficult to do because this cannon piece plugs right into some holes in the arm here. So we'll just take that and set that aside. And also, it's really handy to have his sword hanging up. So once you get both his arms out, like so, we can just kind of keep working on the arms, because might as well flip everything down. And one thing to point out here, and I don't know how apparent it's going to be. Let's see if we can get it to focus on it. There we go. Sort of. You can see how really sharp these end pieces are, and you can see there's a little bit of plastic stress from bending them. It's really not that big of a deal, but they really are some jagged little edges there to catch yourself on. So go ahead and do the other arm here. Just bring this down, fold it around, bring his claws, and he has really pointy fingers too. I'm not sure if you guys can see that as well as I can. Anyway, so now we'll come down to the back here. And as you may imagine, these are his legs here. So you take them, kind of fold them all the way down, and you also have more really sharp bits in these kind of the back engine type parts for the submarine. So watch your fingers there, and we'll do that again for both sides. Unplug this, and you can see his tail came out, and I'll show you that in a minute. But unplug this and bring it all the way down, like so. Now we'll come to the feet here, and these are a little bit difficult in my opinion. You want to get them and make sure you flip them the right way. I flipped them the wrong way. There we go. Gotta flip them internally basically, and then flip them around. And you have to have the back one positioned just right so the front one will swing on through. And there we go. We got the foot done here. So let me try to show that one again. We want to flip this one up and then around like so. And take the front foot, flip it all the way around like that. So from our standing shark mode, we kind of have this going on, and what we're going to do is separate these little back pieces, which is going to make the tail piece fall out. And this is probably the one piece that kind of worries me the most on this guy, because you do have to swing these around. You can see that the red piece is not really attached, so as you swing it around, it feels like you have potential for breaking this. So just be real careful with these parts here, especially when you're, you know, moving these up and down, because you can see how it's flexing up there. So I always just hold it, you know, real close to any of the joints there when I'm working on this, so we don't stress the plastic too much. You probably can't see it, but there is actually a little tiny red stress mark on this piece here, a white stress mark on the red piece. But yeah, I don't think it's going to break as long as you're careful, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. So what we're going to do is, the easiest thing to do next is to kind of grab the shark head and flip this around, because this will put all the waist bits and everything into the right position. So we can take that and we can actually lock the shark body onto the waist piece there. So we got this going on. And now this is really when it's the best time to kind of grab these and carefully flip these pieces down and carefully grab these and twist it all the way, so you can see it's going to lock right into this side here like this. Well, it should lock. There we go. And it doesn't really need to lock good. You can see it really doesn't hold too terribly well. At least mine doesn't. But it really doesn't really have much of an effect aside from telling you where to go. So take this and carefully, like I said, bend these down and fold this all the way around like so. And that's good enough. They don't need to tab in any more than this. Now this is the part where he's pretty much done, but I like to have the sword here because the sword does transform like this to actually make like a saber type thing. And there's no real good tab to get in here, so I find a lot of times I have to take the sword in and give it a little twist to pop it up. Don't use the bottom. Get towards where it's thicker and closer to that joint and you won't harm the sword. But without it, I can't actually get this up by hand. And doing that gives you access to, of course, the head. And we can close that up. And there we go. We got Sencho Barbossa here. Looking pretty darn cool. I like this guy. And I take his little cannons here and, you know, I feel like he's always got some guns trained on whoever he's talking to. And I think that looks really cool. We can then take his little weapon here and move it on the ball joint. And you can put it in either shoulder you like. And it just pegs on into the shoulder here. Like so. And that gives him a nice shoulder cannon here. And we can give him his sword, and you can put that in either hand. And all it does is just slide right on in and then twist to get it in place. And Sencho is looking pretty awesome here. I really have no complaints. Now this shark tail, this is kind of basically the only one they show you using. This is the Skybite version of the mold. It's kind of to replicate his weird looking hand and stuff. You can put that on if you want, or if you aren't interested, you can just peg it right into the back like that, and it really doesn't hinder too much of what this robot can do. So for articulation, he's got a head on a ball joint here. It's a little bit too loose for my taste, but it's not too terrible. He doesn't have any problems holding any positions, and if I recall correct, he did not have any paint on his mouth, so it was just silver, and I'm pretty sure I filled that in with just a dark gray metallic just so it looked a little bit nicer. I don't know whether that comes through or not on the camera, but yeah, I did that. The shoulders here, if you can find a place to articulate them, they don't get too much motion. They are a little bit tight. I don't necessarily like some of the sounds that it makes as things pass other parts, but yeah, they're a little bit limited there. You do have a side-to-side here. You do have a bicep swivel and a nice double jointed elbow for pretty good articulation there. Of course, the wrist is on a ball joint, so you get quite a bit of articulation out of the wrist. Moving on down, you can articulate the shark's mouth still if you want. You do have waist articulation, which, like I said, not really hampered too much by the tail here, except for going 360 around. But you know, you can have Sencho sitting here looking over his shoulder, and that's not too bad. Moving on down to his legs here, this little hip armor will articulate out of the way to give him plenty of range of motion on the ball joint on the leg. A double jointed knee. Oh, I just stabbed myself really good with that fin down there. That hurt a lot. So good range of motion on the knee, and if I am correct, yes, you do have the thigh swivel. It's just a little bit harder to see because of the ball joint there. And then of course the feet are on ball joints, so you do get some ankle tilt if that's real important to you. So for comparison purposes, here he is next to that RID Skybite again, and as you can see, he's a very big toy, and not shell formery like Skybite is in the least. So let's get old Sencho back to his shark mode here, and then we'll be done with this for the day. We'll take his sword out and we'll leave it extended so we can get that open again. And one thing I did want to point out that is kind of disappointing, it would have been nice if this could fold all the way in somehow, his wrists, and then you could take maybe the hook that's on this hand or the harpoon that's on this hand and take them off and replace it with his hand somehow. But unfortunately you can't do that. That would have been a cool little touch, but hey, what can you do? So let's get to his head here. Again, using the little tool here, we will get his head out of the way as far as we can. Kind of stuff the sword on in, give it a little twist. There we go. Head is missing, and we're back to shark walk mode. We'll take the shoulder cannon out. That's a good time to do it, would be now, so it's not in the way. We'll put that to the side. We'll take the tail off. We'll put that to the side. And now's as good of a time as any to take these little back pieces and kind of swing them up and out so we give ourselves maximum room to work with. So now we can take that, disconnect the shark here, grab the fin, bring it on forward. You can see how that kind of messes with the whole rest of the body. We can now take these, move them back, and we got to take this tail because it has to fit in this way. You can see how it's shaped perfectly to fit in there. It actually holds itself in place pretty nicely to allow you to take this and close this all up, enclosing the tail inside there. So now we'll come down to the feet here, and of course we want to fold these in such a way that we can flip the front feet all the way in and up, like so, and then fold these in. And to make enough room, we need to make sure that they're folded sideways like that in there to give enough clearance on the front. So again, fold this up, flip the front foot all the way in, take this and flip it in place like so. So now we have this, we can actually fold the entire leg up and make sure that you clear the little gray piece here, or yeah, gray piece, the little black piece like that, because it should fit into the leg like so. And this is also when we can make sure that we have the waist up in location to make up the back piece of the shark again. So we'll do that again. Flip this around, make sure we're clearing that hip armor. And there we go. Make sure everything's in position, and it should all peg together pretty nice up at the top, looking like that. Now we'll come back around here, and this is a little bit tricky. You want all this stuff to kind of fit in roughly like that on both sides. So make sure that we have this actually situated properly like so. Let everything semi-fold up, and then you have to come in here and make sure you have the hands on the inside before you close this, and then make sure you take the little gun here and plug it into the hand ahead of time like so. And now it's just a matter of kind of massaging everything on into place. That's really the best word I can use for it, because you have to kind of make it so pieces of plastic kind of fit in ways which makes things kind of bend and move in small little ways. And make sure that you got that gun plugged into both sides, and that'll let you close all of this on up, and then you can kind of just adjust everything so it's closed up as nice as you want, like that. And then just go ahead and adjust the cannons however you see fit. Again, I angle them forward because it's a shark-shaped submarine to me more than anything. And this this bottom, I don't know if you would call it an engine or missiles or whatever, because it's on that ball joint, you can actually kind of rotate it back. You can rotate it forward, you know, down, whatever you really want to do. It is easiest to get it back on the stand when this is rotated all the way forward. So you can plug them on in. Which is actually harder than it looks, to be completely honest. There we go. Like that. And then that's usually when I'll take this and, you know, move it on backwards. Like something like that. Or however you want to do it. And of course your sword folds up. And we put it away. And there we go. Captain Shark is back in his shark mode. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. And I'll see you next time.